Here we go with the live well for this week with the Classic coming right up. So we're pretty much, I mean, we're consumed. We're all in with the Classic here in the studio, but we're fixing to bail on this place. Head to Tulsa, Oklahoma and Grand Lake of the Cherokees because the World Championship of Fishing is coming up in a matter of days now, and the excitement is hard to repress. And of course, our final live well before the Bassmaster Classic, we got to have the #1 guy in fishing on here. Help me welcome the one and only Kevin VanDam from his home in Michigan as he prepares to head up here. KVD, great to have you with us. I know you've been busy, but thanks for carving out a little time.
You bet, man. I'm ready to go. I'm locked and loaded right now, heading there tomorrow.
Well, speaking of locked and loaded, we have another surprise for all our viewers here. Of course, our #1 analyst on the sport of bass fishing, the one and only Mark Zona, joins us from his home in Michigan as well, although by phone today.
Oh, Tommy, it's always great. I love this. This week it's where the anxiety starts to build, baby.
Everyone starts to curl up in just a little bit and get a little bit tense, and we're looking to crack this thing open and see what's going on. And Kevin, let me just start by asking you. Everyone who looks at this objectively is going to say, well, you know what? The last Bassmaster Elite Series event was on Grand Lake, was won by Kevin VanDam. 2 out of the last 3 classics were won by Kevin VanDam. This is a no-brainer. VanDam is the prohibitive favorite here. Is that true, or what's wrong with that statement?
Well, I think that there's a lot of local guys that people really need to be off. I mean, you need to follow Tommy Biffle and Edwin Evers and Jason Christie for sure. Mike McClellan. Those are the guys that Vegas says have the best shot.
You said you need to follow them. You're talking about people in spectator boats?
Yeah.
Okay.
Spectators out there.
Well, that's good advice for them. Z, what would you have for KVD? What is the #1 burning issue that you have for Kevin VanDam this morning?
Actually, I'm going to throw a couple in there real quick, Tommy. Things that have been on my mind that he was a little bit shy on answering when we were hanging over the winter. But one of them being, and we talked about this on the last live well, Tommy. We've talked to a lot of anglers so far, not KVD, about weather. Every classic we've gone into, weather's the major issue. Several anglers stating they wanted it to be very, very cold. A few anglers wanting a warming trend. Where do you sit on that, Kevin? And most of all, why?
Well, the biggest thing that I've been kind of hoping for is to have it change a lot. The easiest thing this time of the year as an angler is to have a long, several weeks of the same weather, having it stable. Whether it's cold or, warm doesn't really matter. If it's stable, you can dial in and the fish aren't going to change a lot. What makes it a little more challenging is when you have it, go from cold to warm or warm to cold, or, that just have something thrown in the mix that's going to change how the fish react, how they move, how they hold in the water column. And it looks like we're going to have that. Looking at the 10-day forecast, I've been following it for the last several months, really since the first of the year. And it's going to be really cold for the pre-practice period, maybe even some snow. And then we're going to have somewhat of a warming trend. And we, really don't know exactly what's going to happen for the competition days, but, that's the trend that it looks like. So that means to me that the fish are going to be changing. And, I like it cold. I love fishing in Michigan in the cold. I think it would set up for me a little better if it was going to be, the opposite of what it is. But, I'm going to go down there and have an open mind and go through this practice period and try to put together a good game plan. That's what I try to do every year. I didn't go and pre-fish for that reason, just so I can go down there and really put my own game plan that fits my style for my confidence techniques and with what I know about Grand Lake, and come up with, a formula that all you can ask for in the Classic is to be in contention going into the final day. So, I don't want to knock myself out of it right off the get-go, and it's a great lake. So that's what I'm going to do.
Bassmaster Classic, Lay Lake, champion. New Orleans, champion. Both of those events, Kevin, you want them predominantly off of a spot, a magical, whether it's a 10-yard or a 30-yard area. Do you see that this tournament can be won off of a spot, or is this going to be a tournament on Grand where you can literally old school run a pattern?
I believe, I'm 99% sure that it'll be one fish in a pattern, that you're going to have to move around the lake. I mean, there's a chance that somebody might find a key migrational, stopping point, or, spot where there's a big school, set up to be wintering. But I doubt it. I don't think you'll find something that'll hold up for 3 days like that. Grand Lake fishes a lot more like most of the other highland reservoirs in that region, like a Table Rock or a Lake of the Ozarks, where you can get on a pattern and be able to run it all over, a whole region of the lake for sure. And that's what I expect to see, and that's what I'm hoping for, because that's usually where where I think that I can excel.
Kevin, you've been around long enough. It's early to ask this question, but I mean, give us a number. After 2 days, what's the 2-day total that's going to have you right in the middle of it, ready to gun for the championship on the final day?
I would say around 36 pounds. I mean, you're going to have 17 or 18 pounds a day to have a shot at it. And the thing about Grand is you can easily catch 25 there a day. So consistency over 3 days, 18 pounds a day is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood, depending on exactly what that weather does going into it. It could be higher than that. It could be a little lower than that, but it's not going to be much. Grand Lake is too good a lake. There's too many, of those 3 to 5 pound bass in there that, somebody's going to catch them. The biggest thing, and you've seen it every single year since we've had the classics in February, is you can't have a bad day. I mean, your bad day at Grand Lake, if you have less than 15 pounds, you're going to be in trouble.
Sounds good. Sounds like it's going to be a good one to me. Kevin, with 20-plus years, closing in on 25, the winningest guy of all time in terms of money, in terms of tournaments, tied for the number of classics won. I mean, are you as enthusiastic about the start of the season as you always have been? And if you find yourself not quite enthusiastic enough, how do you pump yourself up?
I don't have to worry about that. I'm really excited about it. The way the sport has gone in the last few years, the way we've kind of gone through this little downturn in the economy, I think everybody's, things are looking better for everybody. You see a lot of young anglers, a lot of college anglers out there. You see more sponsorships coming back. To me, it's an exciting time to be a professional bass angler. You look at the schedule that we've got, very diverse, coming up this season. The Classic in Tulsa. I mean, to me, I'll never have a hometown Classic as long as we have it in February. But with Quantum being, one of the sponsors that I've had since day one of my career, it's right in their backyard, with dynamic sponsorships who, Lance and those guys, they manage the Toyota team. This is like a hometown Classic for me. So that in itself has made this year, or this season, the start of it, different than any other, because, it's a lot of pressure there, a lot of expectations. And my nephew's in the Classic this year too. We're going to have a lot of our family down there. I just think the buzz around Tulsa and what I've seen just from the community, this is going to be, crowd-wise, from the outdoor show and the Classic weigh-ins, it's going to be one of the most exciting ones that we've ever had. So I'm thrilled to get the year started, and we finish up at Lake St. Clair. So what better than ending up the season in smallmouth country?
Oh, it should be great. Final question, Z, for KVD.
I have one more. We've all heard coming into this Classic. I want to jump into techniques real quick. We've all heard that a jerkbait's going to be a major player in this event. Colder water, a lot of fish still suspended around boat docks, whatnot. Kevin, throw us, for everybody right now on Bassmaster.com, throw us 2 other techniques. A lot of the tournaments that we've had at Grand in the past, summertime, deeper water tournaments, will that play? But just give us 2 dark horse techniques.
Well, I wouldn't call it a dark horse, but there's no doubt that a jig is going to probably be a major player at Grand Lake. The thing about this lake is it is a lake that a lot of fishermen live on. There is so much brush in the water there. There's so many boat docks that have brush around them. The coldest tournament I ever fished in my whole career was back in the 90s when Ron Sheffield won there, and it was a fall tournament. But I think the high the first day was 22 degrees, and he won that fishing a jig around boat docks and brush piles. And, you look at guys like Mike McClellan, that's where they grew up fishing that style and that lake. So there's no doubt that that's going to be a huge player. The other thing that could be is a combination of things. That wigglewort, early spring wigglewort crankbait pattern can be dynamite on those types of lakes. And the other thing that I think is going to be a dark horse is a swim bait. A lot of people know about throwing like Alabama rigs and things. They dominate in a lot of those lakes in that region. We're not allowed to use an Alabama rig with 5 lures on it, so we have to use a single swim bait rig. But I think, again, for those, if the fish are suspended, you're going to see the swim baits and jerk baits dominate, and if the fish are more on the bottom, it's going to be jigs and crankbaits. What's
the exact area of the lake where you think this will play?
I would say pretty much way up on the upper end, way up the river, especially to get some of that warmer rain coming in, get that dirty water high, in there. I mean, that's where Tommy Biffle and I will probably be.
Yeah, well, he almost gave you those GPS coordinates here, Z. Mark Zona, thank you so much for joining in, and the great man himself, Kevin VanDam, getting ready for the Classic. All that talk gets me fired up. Swim baits, write that one down. And Kevin, thanks so much. Good luck to you.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys down there.
All right, we're going to have a great Classic again. It begins February 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Of course, the BOK Center in Tulsa is the big weigh-in site, and Grand Lake of the Cherokees, fascinating lake. It's going to be big time. It's going to be a great Classic.